Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Sam, and I thought we'd settle down into fall with a back-to-school type sort of video. Now, it's been several years since I graduated, but the autumn season always gives me a feeling of nostalgia, so today I'll be listing my favorite fictional schools and why I would want to attend them. So, here we go. The first school I'll be talking about today comes from one of my all-time favorite shows, and if you're a fan of adult animation, you might know this one too. I'm talking about Wagstaff from Bob's Burgers. Educational abode to the three Belcher children, Tina, Jean, and Louise, Wagstaff is your average everyday middle school located in the fictional unnamed shore town of Bob's Burgers. So what makes Wagstaff such a great school? Well, it's not. It's unorganized, underfunded, and the teachers are mostly unmotivated. But it's not about the school itself, but rather the strangeness that goes on inside of it. Let's start off with the general floor plan of the grounds. There isn't one. Throughout multiple seasons and multiple locations that have been drawn in the show, Wagstaff is the only location with an inconsistent layout. Now, you could chalk that up to a continuity error, but it's much more fun to imagine other unlikely situations. Is there such constant construction going on in the school that the hallways are always shifting? Is it magic? Is it haunted? These situations start to sound a little more plausible when you take into account the walled-up ceramics room. In episode 10 of season 8, entitled The Secret Ceramics Room of Secret Ceramics, tells the story of how the Belcher kids discover a decades-old cover-up and a hidden arts room. If an entire pottery class can be walled up and forgotten about, what else is the school hiding? And the main person that seems to be wrapped up in all this weird crap going on at Wagstaff is Mr. Frond. And while I don't believe he has any malicious intention, he does genuinely want to help the children there. He does thrive off of the attention that all of his shenanigans bring him. One of the things I love most about Wagstaff is the way that Tina, Jean, and Louise are able to prank Mr. Frond in a way that we could never imagine as kids. It's both realistic and enviable. I mean, in the very first episode of Bob's Burgers, Louise had a show and tell day, and she somehow convinced her entire class that the meat they use at the restaurant is actually human meat. I don't know about you, but I would never have the balls as a kid to do something like that, nor do I think that any of my friends or teachers would believe something like that. Sometimes I do wish I had been as mischievous as Louise or as boisterous as Jean, but that's why Wagstaff is on my list of the schools, because the Belcher kids get away with things that we could only imagine doing. The second school on my list follows similarly, in that if you can imagine it, you can do it. However, this is a little less pranksterish and a little more magical. For number 2 on my list, we have Walkertown Elementary, or more specifically, and importantly, the classroom of the one and only Miss Frizzle. Walkertown Elementary was a dream of mine as a kid. I truly believe that this show, among others, helped spark an interest in education. I was taught that learning could be fun, exciting, and magical, even if not in an actual magical way. I knew I could never shrink down and submarine through somebody's blood vessels or surf on sound waves, but the magic school bus made me desperate to attend Walkertown Elementary. As an adult, I would still love to go on these adventures. Also, the fact that besides the students in the classroom, the main characters were an eccentric woman, her pet lizard, and a sentient bus. How much cooler can you get than literally having a free-roaming pet class lizard and a bus you can have conversations with? Also, let's not forget that Miss Frizzle used those hallways as a runway and showed up in an outfit poised to kill every day. I don't know about you, but I think that a little bit of Miss Frizzle rubbed off on everybody that watched that show, and I would kill to give a day in her classroom. Plus, those kids got some hardcore learning done, unlike this next school I'm about to mention. For my third pick, I can't say that I would want to attend this school for any actual education reasons, but there's so much going on here that it leaves me perplexed and yearning to spend a week in the halls. I'm talking about McKinley High from the hit TV show Glee. Yes, I was totally a Gleek growing up. Now, before you go and groan and cringe, this isn't going to be me shouting about how much I want to join the Glee Club, even though it's kind of true. While I admit the show choir did look fun, I was in my own choir at high school and I could barely hold a note and constantly out of breath, so I don't think I would last even a minute in Glee Club. No, I'm interested in McKinley High for other reasons. First of all, it would be one of the only places I've heard of that you could probably get physical with a teacher without getting in trouble. Now, I don't condone violence, but boy, do I wish I had my chance to throw down with Sue Sylvester. I've had multiple moments where I've just wanted to slap her across the face, and being in McKinley, having that opportunity, I would want to take that so badly. But Sue isn't the only one stirring up dramatics at McKinley. Now, compared to Glee, my high school experience was uneventful. I grew up in a poor town in New Jersey, and I thought that I had some drama, but compared to Glee, it's on a completely different level. Glee was basically a teenage soap opera, and while I can't say I'd ever personally be in some of those situations, I can't say that I wouldn't want to spend a day by Santana's side just being her top bitch and just stirring up the dramatics at McKinley. It's so involved how these teenagers are interacting with each other and interacting with the staff in a way that's kind of uncomfortable, but it's also really amusing to watch. It's kind of like a car crash, and I can't say that I wouldn't want to be in the middle of McKinley just for a little while, or maybe better yet, a fly on the walls. And speaking of the Glee Club in general, it's both irritating and astonishing how McKinley is portrayed as an underfunded school. Not in the way that most inner-city schools are, but one of the Glee Club's main concern is budget cuts. It's kind of implied that the budget cuts are due to Sue Sylvester investing that money into the Cheerios. However, it is explained that a lot of the money that's going towards the Cheerios are actually donated by boosters. And yes, Sue is a national winning title champion, so I do imagine that her budget compared to the Glee Club is probably higher. However, I can't imagine that it's so much higher that it impedes the Glee Club when the actual school has all these other facets to it that they're spending money on that a school like mine wouldn't have if it was struggling to fund the arts. No, this is not Sue's doing. In fact, if you go through the episodes, you'll be amazed, just like I was, how much stuff McKinley actually has. In one episode, Rachel is trying to plump up her year, and she's joining as many clubs as she can. And I was literally amazed by the amount of clubs that McKinley had to offer. And I can only imagine that there were more clubs that Rachel couldn't join. So, if that's the amount of clubs that she was able to fit into her schedule or able to get into, how many extracurriculars does McKinley High have? And you can say that not a lot of funding is going into these clubs because the school doesn't have to pay for anything because it's extracurricular, but that's not exactly true. You have to pay the teachers for being in the classroom even after school hours. You pay a basketball coach. You pay the Spanish teacher when she's having a Spanish club. You pay the art teacher when she has an art club. And then the clubs are actually using materials. So while you don't think about that, these clubs are costing a lot of money. And you're telling me that Glee Club is suffering from budget cuts. I don't believe it. Just take into account the size of their cafeteria, gymnasium, and auditorium. They're supposed to be in the middle of nowhere, Ohio, and they have a complete ballet room. Where did our dance team practice? In the cafeteria. Glee is supposed to be set in a financially struggling school district, but if that's what a struggling school district looks like, please enroll me now. The fourth school I'm bringing up is unlike any of the others because it is a witching school. And no, I'm not talking about Harry Potter. I'm talking about something that's a little more whimsical. Miss Cackle's Academy for Witches. This witchy boarding school belongs to a work that has hit the triad of media: a Netflix television show, a movie starring Tim Curry, and, originally, a book. The Worst Witch has produced one of the most adorable witching schools I've ever seen. The premise of the story is that a young witch is flying to her first day of school and accidentally bumps into somebody. However, this other girl can see her, and only witches are supposed to see other witches in public. Cue a series of events that leads to this girl being the worst witch of the academy. I love Miss Cackles for a myriad of reasons. Like I said, it's a more fun and whimsical type of magic. Being written for a younger crowd, there seems to be a lack of serious consequence within the story. Most magics seem to be benign, and even the spells, then things that have gone awry that you would think to be permanent, end up turning out for the better. And even with this suspension of disbelief, I really like how Miss Cackle's Academy is a more realistic version of Hogwarts. The teachers are actually present and aware of their student and student body. The children aren't left to wander in the middle of the night. The supplies are put away and taken care of. It seems like the school district has a much tighter hand on what's actually going on in their school than Hogwarts ever did. Take Dumbledore, for example. Unpopular opinion, but I really think that Dumbledore was a pretty bad role model and mentor for Harry. He either squirreled him away and kept information completely inaccessible to Harry, or he trauma dumped on him to the point of him basically having a breakdown. With Miss Cackle, there is more respect and a sense of gentleness. She knows that these are children, but she also knows that a lesson is a lesson, and there's information that's important enough that you need to tell these kids. She never speaks to the children about adult matters. However, when trouble comes up, she tells them how it is. She doesn't play with their emotions or gatekeep information. And even though this school is a legacy passed down to her through family, she treats it no less than like her own child. This dean really is the cherry on top of the school. She takes no shit, but she has loads of empathy. And out of all the witch schools I've read about, she makes me want to attend Cackle's Academy the most. And the fifth and final school I'm mentioning on this list is Oron High School from Oron High School Host Club. Now, you might be wondering why somebody like me would want to attend a school for snobby rich kids, but hear me out. It may be a school for the children of the elite, but it's still a pretty prestigious school. The test to enroll in there is supposed to be pretty hard if you're a scholarship student. And this place has money. Money means funding, and funding means better teachers, better equipment, and more school activities. You could get an amazing education at Oron and have the opportunity to network with the up-and-coming social elites. If you're given the opportunity to advance your education like that, I always believe you should take it, especially if it's free. And education-wise, Oron would be a dream. And besides having the privilege of the education system that they have there, imagine the parties and the pranks that they get into. Watching the host club, you already get a taste of what they pull on grounds, so I could only imagine what goes on off campus. I would love to attend Oron just for the costuming and parties. It would be a great time. In a school like this, many things are overlooked. Kick a ball into the science class window? No problem. Accidentally set the library on fire? No problem. It's pretty much a consequence-free environment. And while in reality this would be terrible, I would love to go in there just to see what actually goes on. Oron has a mix of it all, and I would love to attend just to see it. And also, just imagine all of that fatty tuna. Don't see one of your favorite fictional schools on my list? Drop a comment and let me know what your favorite school is and why you'd like to attend it. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe. Otherwise, all my other social media will be linked down below, and I'll see you guys next week for more shenanigans.